Today is the 16th Sunday of the year. Our gospel text is taken from Mark chapter 6, verses 30 through 34. The gospel offers us a reflection on what it is about Jesus that attracts people. Why do the disciples follow him, leaving everything behind, turning their lives upside down? What is it about his presence that attracts them? What is it about his presence that makes the people think he's not like our religious leaders? This man speaks with authority. He's different. What is it? The opening scene of the gospel today is a delightful one. The disciples have returned from their first taste of mission. They're excited. They feel as though they've been a success. Even the demons obey them. Jesus doesn't pay a lot of attention to that, according to Mark's narrative. But they are gathered around him. That image is a beautiful one. Are they gathered around him with complete generosity, magnanimity, knowledge of where it's all going? I don't think so. They're drawn to him probably for reasons they don't know. But they do know that he's different. He has a presence, the way he looks at them, the way he speaks with them, cares for them. And that is demonstrated in the very next sentence. He says, look, this is a busy place. You guys need solitude. You need some rest. Let's go. We'll find an isolated place. Now, of course, within minutes of them arriving in this isolated place, everybody else arrives too. So it ceases to be an isolated place. It ceases to be a place of solitude and silence and rest. Jesus' response is significant. The English word compassion is used to translate the Greek word, but the English word doesn't quite say it. It's not bodily enough. The Greek word is grounded in the word for guts. So what Mark is saying is when Jesus sees all these people, he's deeply, deeply moved in his bodily being. And he begins to teach them. They're like sheep without a shepherd, for God's sake. What can you do? And he tends to them, he cares for them, and so forth. We have here, I believe, by implication, a physical or bodily representation of God's love. This is the love of God, the care of God, the concern of God, embodied in Jesus, Jesus of Nazareth. It's a very inadequate way of speaking of what is incomprehensible, unnameable, namely infinite love. But it points us. This, I suggest, might be one of those features of Jesus that attracts. What attracts you? Do you know him by hearsay only, by rules and regulations and dogmas and doctrines, by what others have told you? Do you know him personally? Do you have an intimate relationship with him? Are you aware that he is with you every moment of every day? This embodiment of God's love. Go back to this gospel text. Take some time, sit down, reread it. Listen with the ear of your heart. Chew over phrases and words. Repeat them. Allow this experience of reading to be a time and a place of encounter, where you actually encounter the Word, the living Word, the risen Lord in the Word of the gospel. There's a beautiful description of this kind of reading found in the poet Rainer Maria Rilke. He speaks of a man who is reading thoughtfully, slowly, Rilke says, this man doesn't always remain bent over the pages. He often leans back, closes his eyes over a line that he's read again, and its meaning spreads through his blood. St. Paul, who never met Jesus in the flesh, met him as the risen Lord, though, says it was like being taken hold of. It's a very strong word that is used, taken hold of. When he writes to the Galatians, he says, so much was I taken hold of. I live now, and it's not me. He lives in me. John talks about it as an experience of abiding love. We in him and the Father and the Spirit, the Father and the Spirit in us. Take up the gospel text. From time to time, lean back, having read a line again, and let its meaning spread through your blood.